someone you love is going to die. You already know this. And when it happens, you will feel something so specific, so overwhelming, that it will seem like nothing in the universe could have prepared you for it. But here is the strange part. That feeling has a history. A very, very long history. And it does not begin with you. It begins in a cave. Picture a group of early humans, maybe 50,000 years ago, huddled around a body. The fire is low. The night is loud with things that want to eat them. And instead of running, instead of moving on, they stop. They stay. They do something that no creature on Earth had ever done before in quite this way. They grieve. They mark the moment. They refuse to let the dead simply disappear. That instinct is inside you right now. It has been shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, ritual, and raw human feeling. And understanding where it came from will change how you see every funeral, every grave, every quiet moment of loss you have ever experienced. The oldest known intentional burial sites push back further than most people realize. In a cave system in South Africa called Rising Star, paleoanthropologist Lee Berger and his team discovered something astonishing in 2015. Deep in a chamber that required crawling through passages barely wide enough for a human body, they found the remains of Homo naledi, a small-brained ancient relative of ours. The bones were arranged, not scattered by animals, not deposited by water, placed deliberately. The species that left them there had a brain roughly a third the size of yours. And yet, something in that small brain understood that death deserved a response. This pushes intentional mortuary behavior back potentially 300,000 years. Long before modern humans arrived. Long before language as we know it. Long before art, agriculture, or anything we typically call civilization. Your instinct to honor the dead is older than your species. But why? Why would any creature take time, burn energy, expose itself to danger just to deal with a dead body in a careful way? From a pure survival standpoint, it makes no sense. You cannot eat a grave. A burial does not protect you from predators. So what is happening? Anthropologist David Graeber, before his death in 2020, spent years arguing that humans are fundamentally creatures of ritual, that the ceremonies we build around death are not irrational responses to loss. They are the mechanism through which communities rebuild themselves after a rupture. When someone dies, the social fabric tears. The ritual is the needle and thread. Think about the last funeral you attended. There was probably a designated place, a designated time, specific words, specific clothing, a sequence of events that everyone more or less followed, even if no one had rehearsed it. You were not doing those things because someone forced you. You were doing them because something in your nervous system recognized the structure and relaxed into it. The ritual told your body that even this could be survived. That function is ancient. Archaeological records from across the world show that early humans did not just bury their dead. They adorned them. In a site in Sungir, Russia, dated to roughly 34,000 years ago, researchers found two children buried together, head to head, their bodies covered in thousands of mammoth ivory beads. Each bead had been individually carved and drilled. By the most conservative estimates, the total labor represented in those ornaments exceeds 10,000 hours of work. 10,000 hours. For children who would never wake up. For bodies that would be covered in dirt. Why would any group of people living on the edge of survival in an ice age spend 10,000 hours making beads for the dead? Because the dead were not simply gone. Not to them. Not to any human culture that has ever existed on this planet. Anthropologist Paul Pettit, who has spent his career mapping early mortuary practices, argues that the evidence points to something remarkable. Early humans did not just feel grief, they had what he calls mortuary agency. They believed, on some level, that the dead still had needs, still had a place in the social world, still required something from the living. You can see this pattern everywhere ancient humans left traces. In Shanidar Cave in Iraq, the Neanderthal burial site, famously analyzed by Ralph Selecki in the 1950s, showed what appeared to be pollen clusters around the body, suggesting flowers had been placed with the deceased. The interpretation has been contested since then. Researchers have argued the pollen could have arrived by other means. But even the debate itself reveals something. The question that archaeologists are asking is not whether Neanderthals had emotions. The question is how sophisticated those emotions were. That is how far the conversation has moved. Your brain, when someone dies, enters a state that neuroscientists describe as grief processing. The prefrontal cortex, which handles planning and social reasoning, begins firing in unusual patterns. The default mode network, which normally runs in the background, imagining the future and simulating other minds, gets disrupted. You find yourself reaching for your phone to call them. You find yourself thinking about what they would say about something that happened today. Your brain is still modeling them, still simulating their presence. It has not yet updated its map of the world. This is not a malfunction, it is a feature. Because for most of human evolutionary history, the people closest to you were the people most likely to keep you alive. Your mother, your closest friend, your partner. Losing them was a genuine survival crisis. Your brain evolved to resist the update, to keep reaching for them, to keep expecting them. Because letting go too fast could mean giving up on someone who was only temporarily out of sight. Grief, in its earliest form, was a search behavior, and the rituals that grew up around death were, in part, a way of telling the brain that the search was over. The body is here. We have seen it. We have touched it. We have placed objects with it. We have said the words. Now you can begin to update the map. The specific forms those rituals took varied enormously. In parts of ancient Mesopotamia, the dead were buried beneath the floors of houses so that the living and the dead continued to share space. In some Native American traditions, elaborate ceremonies helped guide the spirit of the deceased through a transition. In ancient Egypt, the process of preparing the body for the afterlife took 70 days and involved a team of specialists, prayers, amulets, and physical transformation of the corpse that was intended to make the dead person more alive in some sense than they had been in their final years. Every culture, without exception, has had this. Not some cultures, every single one. That universality is the clue. When something appears in every human culture ever documented, across every continent, across thousands of years of history, it is not a coincidence. It is not a tradition that spread from one place. It is something that emerges from the human mind itself, from the architecture of how we form attachments and how we process losing them. The anthropologist Ernest Becker argued in his 1973 Pulitzer Prize-winning book that almost everything humans build, every culture, every religion, every monument, every act of heroism or art or ambition is in some sense a response to the awareness of death. He called this terror management. The knowledge that you will die is so destabilizing, so incompatible with ordinary functioning, that the human mind builds elaborate systems just to make it bearable. The grave is one of those systems. The ritual is one of those systems. The story you tell about where the person went is one of those systems. None of this makes them less real. None of this makes them less true in the ways that matter. But it does reveal something extraordinary about what your brain is doing every time you stand at a graveside and feel that particular weight in your chest. You are doing the oldest human thing there is. More ancient than farming, more ancient than writing, more ancient than cities or language or the wheel. You are doing something that small-brained distant relatives did in deep caves by firelight, something that Ice Age parents did for children wrapped in 10,000 hours of ivory beads, something that has been performed in every language, in every landscape, under every sky. You are saying, this person was here. This person mattered. And the fact that they are gone does not erase the fact that they existed. That sentence has been said in some form for at least 300,000 years. And the next time grief finds you standing in a room where someone is missing, reaching for your phone to call someone who will not answer, know this. Your brain is not broken. Your heart is not failing. You are doing exactly what humans have always done when the world tears open like this. You are staying. You are marking the moment. You are refusing to let the dead simply disappear. Just like the ones who came before you, huddled in a cave, the fire low, the night loud with everything that wanted to take them apart. They stayed too.